wonder why there's Latin Americans, Venezuelans celebrating, Maduro getting, ousted. You got to ask yourself, why is there hella white skin, light skin Latinos, Cubans, in this case Venezuelans in Miami? And the answer to that is that Miami is the home to reactionary Latinos who fled their countries because when those countries got taken over by socialist or socialist-leaning presidencies and working class minded, governments, they fled their countries because they had the wealth to be able to do that. So they have the privilege and the wealth to be able to escape to Miami and to get visas and whatnot. Secondly, because they were the ones who were imposing brutality and dictatorship of the wealthy, the wealth class, of the bourgeoisie, of the owning class in those countries. Those countries were the working class people. Those countries were in abject poverty, degradation, and they finally got taken over by people who cared about working class people. And we can argue about corruption and like should Maduro be in presidency, for 5 times? Like that's the thing that we can talk about for sure. But like you wonder why is there Venezuelans celebrating this? Because those Venezuelans are the ones that lost a lot of their wealth in those countries, and they got their wealth by extreme oppression, by the subjugation of working class peoples. And so if you're wondering why, like they're in those countries, you have working classes and you have owning classes. In Mexico, there's an owning class. The owning class doesn't like that Morena is trying to, develop a government of the people for the people. The guy who's Blaez or whatever the guy's name is in Mexico, who's trying to who tried to do the thing, the rebellion, the Gen Y, march, whatever. He's the one that funded that. It's because he doesn't want to pay taxes and he owes a shit ton of taxes. So if you're wondering why Latin Americans sometimes appear in the United States as celebrating the U.S. intervention, it's because those come from the classes of people who fled those countries because they were the brutal oppressors of the people in those countries. They were part of the owning class. They were Latin Americans who had to flee because they were oppressing their own people in their own countries. And they see this as a potential return, like, hey, we can return and go continue our plundering of working people, of the resources, of selling off, state resources. So that's why. So when you see Latinos doing that, that's because they're part of the reactionary capitalist class of those countries. They're not interested in working class people.